Really? The San Francisco 49ers didn't make another move at the NFL trade deadline? Come on now, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, Jed York, and this Niners operation. What are we doing? Did the Niners just give up for the rest of the 2025 season? Did they wave the white flag and say, you know what? We're going to mail it in. We'll be competitive, but we're not taking things seriously enough to be a true playoff threat in the NFC the rest of the way. You are a 6-3 football team. You're going into week 10. You have a big matchup going up against the Los Angeles Rams. You've got an opportunity to be a factor in this division, to be a factor in this conference, and you don't make another move to try to bulk up this pass rush. I'm not asking and wasn't asking for the Niners to make a Quinnen Williams trade or a Sauce Gardner trade like we saw the Cowboys and the Colts make, but they needed to make a move for a pass rusher. They didn't, and this is very disappointing. Let's react to it here on the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. Let's vent together and let's talk about it. And unfortunately, the Niners did wave the white flag on the 2025 campaign. And I just can't believe that they went about it in this manner. They were 6-3, coming off a really impressive win against the New York Giants. They lost Mykel Williams for the rest of the season, and it's a bodies game at this point. They have one proven pass rusher on this team. They don't have a lot of depth at defensive end. And if you're trying to play defensive football in the year of 2025 with no pass rush, you are going to get cooked, fried, and filleted on that back end. And one thing that a trade does for the rest of the team, it gives everybody else belief. Now, the Niners are like, well, deep down, the players know our pass rush and our defense isn't good enough to last until the end of the year. And so is the effort level going to be the same? Are the Niners going to believe in themselves? If Mykel Williams didn't get hurt, that's fine. Because then your edge rusher rotation with Bryce Huff coming back really isn't all that bad. But then you suffered another season-ending injury to Mykel Williams. Nick Bosa also out for the year. You're without your two starting defensive ends from opening day. You're without Fred Warner. And the 49ers here, ladies and gentlemen, had a huge need at the pass rusher spot. And I am just shocked and flummoxed that San Francisco elected to sit out what was otherwise across the NFL a very active trade deadline. Now the 49ers have put a ceiling on how good they can be in 2025. The 49ers will be a fun team. They are going to play hard. They are going to try. They're going to be competitive. They might make it to the playoffs. I don't see how you can win more than one playoff game or win a playoff game with this type of defensive unit. And that's disappointing because what do we have to look forward to? Next year when the Niners continue to build, you could have brought somebody in who helped you out this season, and a defensive end helps out the rest of your defense. And shoot, that player could have been a building block for the future for this Niners team as well. I just don't envision a scenario where San Francisco can keep their heads above water with the current construction of the roster at defensive end. This is the edge rusher rotation right now. Bryce Huff going to come back against the Rams. That'll help. Keon White was really good rushing from defensive tackle against the New York Giants. At edge, some good reps against Andrew Thomas, but he's not a proven commodity. Cleveland Ferrell didn't have a job until the Niners added him to the practice squad. He's a good rotational player, but you're going to be asking him to play a lot of snaps. Sam Okuwanu is a good story. He could play defensive end and defensive tackle. He's second on this team in sacks with 2, behind Bryce Huff's 4. He's tied with Nick Bosa for second in the team in sacks with 2. Nick Bosa has not played since the Cardinals game in week 3. Then you have Robert Beal, a former late-round pick for the Niners out of Georgia, who's athletic but is a slouch. Today's result is disappointing, and I think Robert Saleh deserved better. Give him some more ingredients so that he can cook. Today's result is also very disappointing for this Niners fan base, which puts a lot into being a fan of this football team, and they badly, desperately want San Francisco to bring home that 6th Lombardi trophy. Now, the Niners, I don't think we're ever going to win a Super Bowl this year, but in a season where the Super Bowl is at Levi's Stadium, Super Bowl 60, you had a chance to make some noise in the NFC if you upgraded the pass rush. And I've always said this. It's valuable to get young players playoff reps. With this coaching staff of Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh, with what Shanahan has done in the playoffs, he's had a lot of success there outside of Super Bowls. You have a chance to win any given game in the postseason. And now, I think the Niners season is capped at being a wild card team at best. You're telling me that the Niners couldn't make a trade like this that we saw last night, where the Ravens received Draymond Jones, an edge rusher, for a team that is 3-5 for a conditional 2026 fifth-round pick? The Niners couldn't make a move like this? The Niners defense since week 6, EPA per play, 25th. EPA against the run, 6th. EPA against the pass, 25th. You're just not going to last if you can't get after the quarterback and then you get carved up on that back end. The Niners can continue to be this bend but don't break type of defense, but even that's not really sustainable. They're going to give up a bunch of yards. They're going to put so much pressure on themselves to hold up in the red zone, and this offense is going to have to play better and really carry the load. But do you have confidence that they're going to be able to do that with the lack of offensive line that the Niners have? They're good against mediocre to bad teams. Against elite teams, though, come on now. Now, it's not for a lack of not making moves. You'll give credit where credit is due, and I'll do that too. The Niners have made 4 trades that are on your screen right here. They traded for Bryce Huff prior to the year. That was a big move for San Francisco. Outside of Nick Bosa, not even close. He's been their best, most productive pass rusher. Sky Moore, he's been a return man. He's caught a couple passes here and there. Brian Robinson, you'd like to see the Niners use him more, but he's a good RB too. Keon White, definitely an intriguing player and could be a building block for this team moving ahead into the future, but he's not really moving the needle all that much. The Niners are in a spot here where Bryce Huff is the only bona fide pass rusher on this team. So I was pretty convinced that the Niners were going to make a move. John Lynch has been pretty aggressive at the NFL trade deadline in his tenure as a general manager. And look, he traded for Keon White. You needed to do that. You signed Cleveland Ferrell. You needed to do that because prior to those moves, you had 2 healthy defensive ends on the 53-man roster. But you could have stood to make another move. A mid-round pick for Bradley Chubb, you couldn't do that. Can't give up a second-round pick for Jermaine Johnson, a move like that. The Niners pass rush rankings, they have 11 sacks as a team. It's tied for 29th in the NFL. Total pressures, 98. It's 28th in the NFL. Their pressure rate, 29.4%, second to last in the National Football League. I just think that John Lynch could have done a little bit better here today. Quick reminder, subscribe to the channel for daily Niners coverage right here from yours truly on the San Francisco 49ers Report on YouTube. As you can see, we are building like crazy, growing like crazy, approaching 180,000 subscribers. So join the movement, lock us in, and hit that sub button right now. Our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Omaha Steaks, the official sponsor of tailgating. If you're going to this Niners-Rams game coming up on Sunday, a huge tilt inside the NFC West, get yourself some Omaha Steaks. From legendary burgers to mouth-watering steaks, deli-style franks, and so much more, you'll elevate your next game day get-together with America's original butcher. For more than a century, Omaha Steaks has delivered the world's best steak experience. Omaha Steaks, they have legendary flavor. It's served in stadiums and homes all across the country. If you were to look in my freezer right now, I am loaded up with Omaha Steaks. I love their filet mignons, but I love all of their products, including high-quality meats that are tasty, but delectable desserts as well. And get this, faithful, with this exclusive offer, you can get $35 off at omahasteaks.com by using the promo code 49ers at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. There's no off-season for flavor with Heartland quality food delivered right to your door. You kidding me? These are also steaks that are carried by some of the best steakhouses in America, a family-owned company with over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. So make game day delicious with the official sponsor of tailgating. Visit omahasteaks.com, get $35 off when you use the promo code 49ers at checkout. Going to put that information attached to the pinned comment and in the show notes of today's San Francisco 49ers report. So you think about some of the moves that happened today. I think other teams across the NFC got better. There was one team in the NFC West that got better than the Niners today. The Cowboys this morning, they've had an awful run defense. So they trade for a linebacker in Logan Wilson, who started a lot of games for Cincinnati and was a team captain. They give up a 7th-round pick. Big trade here between Jacksonville and Las Vegas. Travis Hunter might be out for the rest of the year. So the Jags needed a wideout to pair alongside Brian Thomas. They're a threat in the AFC to make the playoffs. And they traded for Jacoby Myers at wide receiver. They give up a 4th-round pick and a 6th-round pick. I like this move for both teams. This was the first blockbuster move that we got here today, and it was a shocking one this morning. The Colts getting all-pro cornerback Sauce Gardner. They're clearly going all in on 2025. They suffered a bad loss against Pittsburgh on Sunday where they turned it over 6 times and Daniel Jones threw 3 interceptions. But in the AFC, it's the Colts, it's the Chiefs, and the Bills in no particular order. And now you pair Sauce Gardner with Charvarius Mooney-Ward. That's a pretty solid cornerback tandem right there. And if Sauce can play up to his level, he could be a really good player. The Jets, the biggest winner of the day, because they've loaded up on draft capital for the future and they got rid of some really expensive contracts. They get 2 first-round picks for a corner and Adonai Mitchell, a wide receiver out of Texas who was drafted last year in the 2nd round. I really love this move for the Seattle Seahawks. They trade for Rashid Shaheed, who's one of the more underrated, electrifying, explosive playmakers in the NFL, and you put him on this offense with Kubiak calling the plays. Sam Darnold has been playing really well. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been going off this year. He leads the NFL in receiving yards. Torrey Horton has been a great wideout, and now you add a burner and a speedster to that offense with an already elite defense. Fantastic move for Seattle. They're a threat in the NFC. Wouldn't surprise me if they're at Levi's Stadium in February for Super Bowl 60 because they're a complete team. They give up a 4th-round pick and a 5th-round pick in 2026. The Bears, they trade for Joe Tryon. They just had a defensive end, Dayu, who tore his Achilles. He's out for the year. And so they get a 7th-round pick in Joe Tryon, a former 1st-round pick, for a 6th-round pick in 2026. The Dallas Cowboys making another blockbuster move, and once again, it included the New York Jets. The Jets get a 2nd-round pick in 2026, but a 1st-round pick in 2027. They are now loaded in the future with draft capital, and the Cowboys get Quinnen Williams. Now, I don't know what the direction of Dallas is. They're 3-5-1 right now. They're 3 games back of the Eagles for first place in the NFC East. But they needed to get better as a run defense. This move allows them to do that. And Quinnen Williams is one of the top interior defensive linemen in football. I know some Niner fans wanted the Niners to trade for Quinnen Williams. I don't think they were giving up a 2nd-round pick and a 1st-round pick for him, although he would have helped out this defense against the run and getting after the quarterback. Also expensive the next couple of years. And then the Chargers and the Saints make this trade. Joe Alt out for the year, ankle injury. 2nd time he's injured it this year. Rashawn Slater, patellar tendon injury, out for the year. The Chargers were desperate for offensive line help, so they trade for a failed offensive tackle in Trevor Penning. And then the Jets made another move. Jasir Taylor, the cornerback, going to the Jets in exchange for a 2028 conditional 7th-round pick. That's kind of like an NBA trade right there. So, look, there were a bunch of big moves and small moves and medium-scale moves made by other teams across the NFL today. You saw some teams in the NFC get better. You saw the Seahawks improve, and the Niners stood pat. It's just disappointing. And that result, it's one that Niner fans should be frustrated at.